Hey there and welcome everyone. I see we got a few people joining us in here. There, Amanda, Aaron, welcome. Hillary, thanks for joining us here. Hey, Jess. See you again. Ramon, going to talk to you later today too. Good to see you early. Wendy, welcome. Hey, Wendy. Perfect. Thanks all for joining here today. We are at 12:30, so we are going to dive in shortly. I know some of you are probably bemoaning. It's like, oh, Colin again. We were promised Samantha. Unfortunately, Samantha's feeling a little bit under the weather today, so I'm hopping in for her. But she is with us not only in spirit, but also in the chat. She's going to be lending a hand there with our amazing colleagues, Melissa and Dominique. There we go. Perfect. Great to have you with us here today, folks. I see some more folks are trickling in. We are very excited to get started. Just as a quick audio check, can folks give me a quick thumbs up or a quick yes in the chat if you can not only see me, but also if you could see a slide with a yellow background that says keeping the sales team busy. Excellent. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Jess. Bringing my heart rate down, which I always appreciate. Thank you. Great. I'm very excited today. So not only do we have a session focusing on the sales team right now, that's why we are all joined here today, but my colleague Jake is going to be hosting a session later on today on fulfillment and the warehouse, and it's going to be a great full day or full sessions full of learning. So let's get things cooking here. My name is Colin. I'm the Principal Customer Success Manager here with Goodshuffle Pro. I've been with the company for just under 8 years now. So always excited to share some of my experiences and insight with y'all. I've got my background in theater and performance. Back in the day, I used to set up circus tents and go out and do shows. So always happy to chat about how best to set up tents, what anchors typically work best. But we are going to focus today on some frequently asked or frequently experienced pain points or challenges that a lot of folks have brought up in the past. So before we dive in, I want to ask y'all a few things. How many of y'all have sent a quote out and then just not heard back? And you're not sure if someone on your team has already followed up, or maybe the quote is expired, or maybe if the client just went quiet, or my personal favorite expression, maybe they ghosted you. How many of you have had a client sign a contract and then realized weeks later they still haven't paid the deposit? Yeah, everyone, client ghosting. Yes, indeed. And how many of you have gotten a wish list submission on a Saturday night? You're out relaxing, spending time with your family. Client didn't hear back until Monday, and by then they may have booked with someone else. Yeah, getting some shores. Yeah, very cool. Gotcha. That's what brings us all here today. So every single one of those is a speed problem. The businesses that win in this industry respond faster, follow up more consistently, and never let a deal go cold because something slipped through the cracks. That's what today is about. Not features, speed. We're going to cover three main things that directly address this problem: saved views within project management, so that your team always knows what to work on when they log on; message templates and timed email templates. This is one of my new favorite things in the platform. So that way you and your team respond and can follow up fast, even when your team isn't at their desk at that moment. And we're going to take a look into the wish list workflow. From the moment an inquiry hits your inbox, gets jumped into your account to assign a contract, we're going to review that entire flow together and also explore some of the neat options some other folks have been taking advantage of. So, whether you are new to Goodshuffle Pro or you've been using it for a while, there's something here for you. And we're going to go a little bit deeper than the basics today. So, quick, a first icebreaker. I need an icebreaker because it was 30 degrees in Washington, D.C., and spring is apparently going to be coming soon. So before we dive in, drop in the Q&A box. There's a chat box, there's a Q&A box, there's an option to raise hand. So popped into the Q&A box. What is the wildest inquiry you or your team have ever received? I'm going to pull open the Q&A box here. Take a look into that. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm seeing some of the other responses. Yeah, people saying that they already booked with someone else, but maybe not. Cool. As folks submit in some of those wild stories for what they've been asked to do, I always love to share some of the stories that I've heard at conventions I've been at, Matra, and then the trainings and the one-on-ones that I always have with folks. And one of them is always that comes to mind is when a tenting company was instructed to go out and do a event at a golf club. The golf club didn't send or didn't think it was important to send the power grid or the dig instructions for the lot or for the place that they were setting up the tent. So they go, they start to set up, drive in one of the stakes, knock the power out to the entire complex. So always important to make sure you've got that in mind, and there's timed messages that we're going to explore that are going to help avoid some of those challenges. But let's go and dive right in. So first thing that we are going to focus on is we're going to take a look at your project list. This is your home base. This is where every inquiry, quote, signed, booked job, it all lives here. And for a busy account, I know we're heading into the busier season. It's going to get long and very busy fast. So we're going to take a look into some ways to make this even easier to digest and give you quick answers fast. This was one of my favorite things that we've launched maybe in the last half a year or so. And there's a lot to pick from, but this is one thing that I love because when we were at ARA in Orlando earlier this year, there was someone who took a look at this and said, "Oh my gosh, all it does is save me time." And that was a revelation. That was music to my ears because we've got a lot of great features and functions within the platform, but finding out what is going to save you the most time, that is the bread and the butter. That is why we build what we do. So saved views is cutting through the noise. So this is how you can set them up once, and they'll live in your sidebar. Set it and forget it, as they often say. And you and your whole team, you and your other folks that have set up these saved views will have instant access to important insights into your pipeline. No more asking around, texting people, digging for answers, and wasted time trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm going to show you three main views that folks have brought to my attention that they've built while we've been on sessions together. I want to share some of the best practices in setting that up and think of each of these views as an answer to a question your team should be asking every single morning and answering it in seconds, not just minutes. And as we're looking through some of these best practices, have a think. What other questions am I frequently needing to answer? Or if you are a member of the sales team, how can I show my manager the impact I'm having on this business? Great, a nice, easy way to manage up, ask for a raise, to say, hey, look, I can show you nice and easy all the work that I've done for all the revenue I brought to the business. So one of the first save views we've got here, new inquiries. So this is going to answer the question, who reached out to us that we have not heard back from yet? So what I love best about the saved views option is if we click into filters, we can set up how we want this report to be generated. So always think of, what do I want to know? So I want to know things that came in from the website wishlist integration. What else do I want to know? I want to know when they've been last created. So one of the coolest things about saved views is not only does it remember the filters that we put in of dates, the origin of these proposals, it'll also remember which columns and how they are sorted. It's so cool. So in this case, I've got it organized by date created, so that way I see the most recently created projects up at the top, and then going backwards in time, looking down. We can add in different columns in terms of when we've last reached out to the clients, when they've last read messages. You can always click Manage Layout here and update the save view of adding some additional columns just into this save view or into the specific view that you've got here. So every project that has come in with no response lives here. If your team starts their day here, nothing sits unanswered. So this is when we're going to get to our first speed point. First response time is one of the biggest factors in whether an inquiry will convert. The faster you respond, the better your odds. Full stop. Let's make sure that your team is always working on the newest inquiries versus hot leads. And for folks that may have get the or experienced this in the past, if you're already responding fast, this is how you prove it. So in a perfect world, this should always be empty. I should never see projects lingering here. Same thing with some of the documentation that you can run in within dispatch. If you see that you're supposed to come back to the warehouse with some gear or do some pickups, and you actually come back to the warehouse with an empty truck, that's a problem. If I see my new inquiries are just sitting here in the save view, that is a problem. We want to make sure that this is lean, and we want to make sure that we can knock through these as fast as we can. So next up, what's about to slip away? So I'm going to click back into our views here. Expiring quotes. So this is going to highlight or giving you an immediate view of which deals are about to go cold. How does your team even know? So every quote that has a expiration date, I am now sorting by the project status of quote sent. I just care about things that are not signed yet. I don't even need to see projects that are new. Not important to me right now. I want to know, based off of quote expiration, which proposals are nearing expiration first. So this surfaces the ones that are running out of time before anyone needs to dig for them. So this is going to show me either which quotes have been recently expired or which quotes are coming up on quote expiration. Brings us to our second speed point. So instead of a deal quietly dying in the dark in someone's sent folder, it's right here. It's visible. It's flagged. It's ready for you to follow up. So your team isn't spending time hunting for what needs attention. It's already taken care of. And especially if you are a member of the sales team, this is a great way to again showcase to your manager, or maybe showcase to some of your colleagues, maybe if you want to raise all tides. Look, I followed up. None of my quotes have hit that expiration because I'm doing such a great job of following up with the customers. So this view stops you from losing deals you didn't even know, maybe, that you were losing. Next up, who owes me money right now? Always the forefront of the mind. So this one, as the kids say, hits different. Who has signed and still hasn't paid? So this is a dedicated view, only looking at my signed projects. And again, we can see with the flexibility and the customization that you have with these saved views, I can see billing status, amount due, remaining balance. That's not as necessarily important with new inquiries or my expiring quotes view. This is dedicated to putting money back in my pocket. So this happens more than anyone would care to admit. The contract is signed, the event is on the books, and the deposit just never comes in. Third speed point. Without this view, someone has to manually check every signed project to see what's outstanding. And with this, your team sees their full list in a single click and can follow up immediately. No more digging and no more missed deposits. We can also see in this case, I've got amount due and remaining balance. This is a best practice that I've recommended for some other folks because amount due is just going to show you projects that have a due balance right now. Like maybe they failed to pay the deposit or maybe they have a final balance that's remaining. Whereas remaining balance will show you even if they've paid the deposit, if there's a balance that they could owe in the future, that's going to give you a more holistic accounts receivable, I guess you could say, view of what's coming down the line. We can also see here at the very bottom, we tally or we total all of those values up, so that way you can quickly know how much you can stand to make. So, 3 views, 3 saved questions, all alike in dignity, answered questions before your team has had their second, maybe third cup of coffee, depending on how caffeinated you keep your sales team. So the time that they used to spend figuring out and running other queries or other reports, what are they going to use that time to do now? Saving them time on running these reports. What are they going to do for you? That's time that they're actually going to spend working. So we do have a couple questions. Looks like some folks have been great. Thank you. Looks like we've got some questions answered here, which is great. Perfect. Right. So with some of the serve or some of the saved views that we've looked at here, have there been any that have stood out, or have there been some that you haven't seen, or some other views that you find have been most helpful for you to set up with your project list? Let's see, we got a few people typing in here. I'll keep my eye on the chat as we rock on through for the remainder of the session here. Great. So the next point that we're going to take a look at is the message templates and timed messages. So we do have a poll coming your way. Perfect. Great. So managing follow-up. So how is your team currently handling inquiry and follow-up? Okay, we've got a few responses coming in. Ooh, some people using the automation in Goodshuffle already. Okay. Nicely done. Good. Ooh, something else. How mysterious. All right, I'm going to give folks another 10 seconds to get their votes in. We'll see how we even out here. All right, going to give folks another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to the poll. Perfect. All right, so the results. I'll share those with y'all. Cool. Looks like the majority of folks are using the automation within Goodshuffle Pro. Great to see. That is awesome. So if you are already using the automation within Goodshuffle, let us know in the chat. What is the templates, or what are some of the rules that you've set up with those timed messages to make your life easy? I'm going to show you some of the most popular examples, but we'd love to hear from that 32% of folks that are using some of these automation features already, which is very exciting. Ooh, 26% writing a fresh email each and every time. Wowzers, I'm going to save you some time and make things a little easier for you. Templates, but inconsistent. Okay. Hit or miss depending on who's working. Interesting. And then, ooh, this mysterious something else. If there is something else that you've been using, let us know. All right. So we just talked about saved views, which gives your team the speed at the start of every day by showing what they're working on. Now let's take a look at what most of that time actually gets spent. Writing those emails, that 26% or so that folks write that email fresh every time. So they're writing the similar emails over and over, asking similar questions on every single inquiry, chasing follow-up that could have gone out automatically. This is the part of Goodshuffle Pro that, when set up right, makes your team genuinely faster, not just more organized. So stop writing the same email twice. So Goodshuffle Pro comes built in with dedicated message templates. They cover every major client touchpoint: wishlist received, quote sent, payments confirmed, more. And every single one of those templates is editable. We give you a starting point, a launching pad to get you started, but you can make it yours. So we can see we've got a few of these other templates that have been automatically built. You can see we've got a few more, but we can also customize a lot of these templates. So if you click to edit the template, one thing I always love to highlight, even if you have been using these message templates and you've got them under your belt, never forget that there are these personalization tokens. So these little grayed out section with hashtag first name, hashtag project name, hashtag event start, hashtag logistics start, logistics ends. Those will all pull data from the project itself to populate in to this message template. So if I was sending this message template to me for an event on May 29th, it would say, "Hi, Colin. This is a reminder that for your event, Colin's 95th birthday is coming up on May 29th, delivery on May 28th, pickup on May 30th. It'll pull from that data within the project to populate those fields. If you want to see more about what personalization tokens we can include, you can always click the little drop down here. You see we've got a few options here: day of contact information, event type. Hey, we're looking forward to your wedding or to your birthday. Guest count could be populated in there, purchase order number, venue address, and more. We can customize all that, and that'll pull from the data within the project. And here's where we're going to see the speed start to pay off. So instead of your team writing fresh emails for every inquiry, quote, every follow-up that they're working on from a template that's already written, this is already on brand, and this already says the right thing. 5 minutes saved per email across a busy season full of hundreds of inquiries. That is hours back in your day. One template that a lot of folks have started by customizing is the wish list received. So we can search at the top here. And we can take a look at the template. So we can always click edit. And this is where we can include some other questions or some other details that come in when folks submit their wish list requests. So don't forget to send us your guest count, XYZ. You can always personalize it. You can add extra text. You can add other details into this template. So this one I wanted to zoom in on because this is the first thing your client hears from your business when they submit a wish list inquiry. And this is an important one to get right. First impressions and all that. And here's the problem it solves. Right now, when an inquiry comes in, someone from your team has to open it, read it, review it, think about what they need to know, then write back, asking for the right follow-up questions. All that thinking, all that if-then logic takes time. If it's a busy day, it can slip. So you can customize the subject line. You can customize these personalization tokens. So if we want to instead customize it with the client name, we can do that. We can add in any of those other personalization tokens that we were exploring before in that initial subject line, in it, and also in the within the body of the template too. So you can bake your follow-up questions directly into this template. So imagine that the thinking and that logic was already done for your sales team. So from the moment someone submits a wish list, they automatically get everything asked that your team needs to know before the conversation. What's the venue? Are there setup restrictions that we need to know about? Is there a dig layout that you must send us so we don't knock out a power grid? Will this be indoors, outdoors, a mix? How many guests are you expecting? All of that can be asked in this. You can even ask for what is their budget. If you want to get that conversation started, you can ask those questions in this template. You can also ask, is there a planner? Is there someone else that we may need to loop into this conversation? So once you've set up some of these templates and you've customized some of the language in here, track what that's doing for your team speed. I know I've been with the company for a while. I've worked with countless people, but hey, don't take my word for it. Make sure that when you do introduce these new templates, you're running that check and you're seeing the results for yourself. So imagine that before the inquiry comes in, salesperson thinks about what to ask, writes a response, sends it, waits, time goes by, and then finally they have enough to start sending them the actual proposal. Whereas after inquiry comes in, you already know the answer to these frequently asked questions. The client already got asked the right questions automatically. Salesperson opens the project, and the questions and the answers are right there, or they keep coming in. You can skip right to building that quote. So cutting the back and forth, what your sales team has already done, and there's consistency in this win that we've heard from folks. Your newest hire is asking the same exact questions as your most experienced salesperson. So you're onboarding and you're ramping up even new people. I know this is gearing up into the titular busy season. So this is going to ensure that as you are bringing on some new crew, they are going to be operating at the same skill level and understanding what they need to do faster. Yeah, no one's going to forget. No one skips a step. No one has their own version of the process. It's a faster response, better information, and consistent experience, all from one template. All right. Next up, we're going to get into another recent feature here, is the timed messages. So your team follows up even when they are not working. So when you're creating or adjusting a template, up here at the top, you've got this nifty little toggle to allow messages to auto send. So we've taken a look at templates, and these time messages are the next level. Same concept, same editing, all that good stuff that you love. But now you can attach a trigger and timing that Goodshuffle will send it automatically. This is where you get speed that doesn't depend on your team being available at all. Saturday night wish lists, 2 a.m. submissions. Your team is already mid delivery. It doesn't matter. These messages will go out. So, for example, if you need to ask the guest for their final guest count reminder, perfect. 10 days before the event, this will automatically fire when I just say 10 days before logistics start, the delivery of the event. This message will automatically go out. So without this, someone has to remember, did we follow up with the customer? Did I do that? Did you do that? I thought you did that. I didn't do that. So without this, you may not have that confidence and that consistency that this happening every time. So on a busy week, it may slip. You have to find out the head count. You find out that the head count has changed 2 days before the delivery when there's not as much time to adjust it. So this is a speed win. It goes out automatically. You get the updated numbers. It's time to act. And your team has spent 0 minutes making it happen. Cool. I'm really excited. I see we got some questions coming into the Q&A. We've got some best practices coming in here. Wicked. Nice. Our moderator is going to flag any of those for my review as we get closer to the Q&A section here. Great. So another example is where we want to remind the customer or send the customer a reminder of their logistics date, logistics confirmation. Let's close this out. Create a template, pre-event template. And this is where I can rename this template like logistics reminder. And then again, we can customize the subject line, those personalization tokens that we filtered in before. We could say, send this one 3 days before logistics start, again, the delivery date typically. So 3 days out, delivery window with the setup location, day of contact, all of the information that you may need to include. I can just include another bullet here. Day of contact name, and I can preface this. So that way, if you've added that data into the project itself, again, it'll pull that information in automatically for you. So easy. So the details matter because last minute chaos when everyone's pinned down and busy and stressed is never a good thing. So your team will never be scrambling to track down the information of the delivery time, delivery date. Remind the customer of this. And your client isn't calling to ask what time to expect you. One automated message eliminates an entire category of day before stress. And the event was a success. It's a great time. Everyone's, oh, I had such an amazing experience with your company as you were striking the event. So what you should do is also create another template here. Post-event template. So typically, I would recommend sending this soon after the event. The longer you wait after the event, the warm and fuzzies can dissipate and the more general feedback that you can expect to receive. So the more that you can strike when the iron's hot of saying, I want you to give us feedback a day after the event, this is going to ensure that it's more genuine feedback. And you can include reminders of adding a link to your Google business profile. If you collect reviews elsewhere, you can include a link there. You can ask them to fill out a Google form. Some companies I work with like to maybe have a little bit of a buffer before they send people right to their Google profile. So that way, if there is someone there like, I think the event was good, but they might be a bit feisty in their review, you can capture that and then say, hey, thank you so much for filling out that Google review. We would love if you could post a review on our socials or on our Google business profile. So businesses that consistently get 5-star reviews aren't doing better work than their competitors typically. They're just asking at the right moment. And that is typically when those warm and fuzzies are still active. So automatically, every time, 0 minutes per event. The other thing that I've seen folks do is you can set a reminder, maybe 30 days after the event, another reminder. Say, hey, we love doing your corporate quarterly event. Let's do it again next quarter. The sky's the limit of what you could do within these templates, all the customization and personalization that you could do. One other thing I will mention is even if you do set up these templates to automatically fire, you can choose which ones will fire on a specific project. So I know things can come up. Clients can have the experience that they are having, whether it's valid or not. You may not want to send them the reminder to leave your team a review. You can always turn that off on a project by project basis. So let's add up what we've built in this section. Every inquiry from the wish list is acknowledged automatically with your questions already in it. So your team opens a project and they've already got that data from the customer. Faster first call. Every client touch point covered by a template. No one writes the same email twice. Time back every single day. Headcount check, logistics confirmation, review request, all running automatically through these templates. We're talking hours back in the week. And this is how to make your team faster without asking them to work harder. We use an analogy here at Goodshuffle of when asking for more or to embark on a new initiative, leadership should always come with a wheelbarrow to help make that load easier. And that's what these features do. You're not asking them to build these templates and send them each and every time manually. Just make sure that they're set and let the automation take care of it. You'll always be in control of which ones send or being able to toggle them on and off. But the thinking is already done. The writing is already done. They just show up and work the deals. Awesome. I see we've got a few things coming in here. Great. Thank you, Melissa and Sam and Dom for taking care of some of these questions. Great. Perfect. All right. Next up, we're going to take a look at when the wish list comes in. So now let's watch everything that we've built come and work. Great. So let's take a look at my website integration here. Perfect. So imagine I'm the customer. I'm on the website. I can see we've got the silver Shivari chair. I can always click into this item to see the other things that I might be able to add, these great upsell opportunities, these alternates that I might be able to swap out for when I'm happy with what I got. I can quickly click to add that to my wish list submission. Pop in my dates and all the other required information here. One other thing I'll highlight with the website integration that a lot of folks have been customizing on their side is in the notes section. This is where also, in addition to the templates that we touched on, what other details do you want to ask the customer up front? So what's the square footage, indoor, outdoor. That way you can add these details, indoor event, but like 1,500 square feet. Perfect. Send that list. So as soon as that wish list submission is triggered, a few things are going to happen. On the client's end, that wish list received template that we customized is going to fire and look exactly how you've set it up on your side. They know you got it, and your follow-up questions are already in their inbox. First impressions handled before your team has touched anything. And on your end, it's landed in your new inquiries view. So if we go back to our project list here, I can see I've got a new proposal from the famous, the infamous Colin Connery. So I can click into this proposal in this new inquiries saved view. Nice and easy. Let's open it up. Great. So I can see it's project for me. I've got their date. And then if they added the venue, we would see that added here toward the right. So this is one of the biggest speed wins of this entire workflow. We could just look at the proposal. So we can see the items that this customer is interested in right away, and the items that they requested from your website are already on the quote. Your team doesn't need to add a single thing. The client started building it out for you. And think of what this would replace. No more reading an email, translating it what the client wants, checking if it's available or not, adding it one by one. They did all that work. You're just starting at the finish line with it already pre-built for you here. Your team's job now isn't to build the quote from scratch, it's to review it, refine it, and make sure that it's the right thing before it goes out. We always want to make sure you are in the driver's seat of what is actually sent back to the customer, especially when we're talking about things like adding logistics or adding damage waiver or adding anything else that the sales team may want to suggest or may want to add in from their side. This is going to make it much easier to populate once we've got this foundation or once they've got it. So let's do exactly that. Start with the project details. Got the client, got their email, got their date here on the left. And also we've got their venue on this proposal. So 2 minutes here, say 2 hours later. A wrong date or a missing phone number, small things right now, but it can become a problem when you're in the thick of it. Now let's take a look at some of the items on the quote. They've requested a silver Shivari chair. So let's check availability. Looks good. I see no red stop sign, which is great. I can then see that there's something that's going to happen. The client has already requested something that might be unavailable on their date. And so if we get a wish list in, then there's a conflict. Golly, like that's the pain of your team has to stop, think of, okay, what else do I need to add or what could I suggest to the client to replace it in this case? They got to go hunt for something comparable. And also think of this if you hire someone and this is their first day on the team. If they see that there's a conflict for the silver Shivari chair, if you are their manager, I would hazard a guess. The first thing that they're going to do is come up to you and say, "Oh, hey, sorry, Afreen, which chair should I replace with this?" And you might be busy, you might be going out on a job, or Brittany, you might be handling a delivery. Like, you may not have time to nurture that person through the swapping out some of those items. That back and forth kills the response time and makes the business appear disorganized to the customer. And here's where your inventory setup can do the work for you. So check this out. If I do see that this silver Shivari chair is booked, or is unavailable, or if they've all vanished in mysterious fire, I can click this little gray box next to the item's name. This is the item's relations badge. As a quick question, I know, I'm sorry, Dom, I'm going off script. Give me a quick thumbs up, a quick yes in the chat if folks have used this, or if this is the first time you've seen this on a proposal when you're building a project. Perfect. Luke, good to see that you've been using it. Nice, Wendy. And if you haven't, no worries. This is a safe space. I still love you. Ah, perfect. Yes, first time. Incredible. That is a-okay. Whenever I host these sessions, it's not, oh, I've never used it in the platform. Might be like, I haven't used it yet. And that's the most exciting thing for me. So this gray items relations badge, this is a huge time saver, particularly for newer teammates, or maybe if you're just added a new set to your inventory. We can click this gray badge here. And this is where we can not only see upsell opportunity. So if the customer wants to add a cushion, we can choose which cushion. If they want to add a sash, we can say, oh, hey, why don't you add some of these or why don't you show some of those? One cool tip I can give you is you can add accessories at a zero quantity. That way, if the customer says, no, I don't really need cushions or I don't really want the cushion on their side, you can still add it at a zero quantity. So that way the customer can see the price of that accessory, but it's not going to add anything to the subtotal. It's just going to give them a sense of, hey, we do have these available. Why not consider it? Yeah, just take a look at what we got. So, accessories, upsell opportunities, super cool way to do that. We can also do alternates. So again, if that silver Shivari chair is out of stock, we can swap it out with our gold or black or our clear Shivari chair. So we can instantly click, swap it out, bing, and it's added the gold Shivari chair in its place with its own potential relations. One thing I will show you here is when you're adding and editing your items, you'll control what those related or optional items are through accessories and alternates. And this new thing, I think maybe a couple of years new in the platform, when you've been here for almost 8 years, everything feels new. Exciting, cool. So we can see we've got this checkbox here for two-way alternates. I would recommend checking that or selecting that when things can be swapped out for each other. Again, saving you time from needing to go into each and every one of those alternates. Say, yes, they can go back and forth. Just check that box, and for example, I can swap back to my silver Shibari chair. And you can also see if there's any conflicts or overbookings with any of the alternates. You'll see that even before you swap it. Go back to the silver. Bing. Nice. And so, yeah, whoever sets up those relations once, you do it once. And now, every time this chair isn't available, your salespeople know what to offer instead without thinking, searching, without needing to leave the project. So instead of thinking, oh, let me check on that, we'll get back to you, or calling you up while you're mid delivery saying, what should I do? That loses deals. Your team can say, we have a great option for you right now. Same situation, completely different outcome. And of course, the beauty with the sign and pay link that the customer receives, this will update in real time. So if the customer is looking at the proposal on their phone, they'll see those changes happen right away. So now the quote can go out without, or can go out with a solution already on it. That's one round trip instead of three. So we chat a little bit about upsell. So showing the customer the accessories. So these are the items that are connected to the item. And again, once you set it up once, you're laughing moving forward. You're set. So they'll show up on the quote, and they'll also show up on the website integration like we touched on or we saw earlier. And so once you set this up into your inventory, your team now knows upsell. So we're talking about ways to empower your team faster, particularly newer people. This is going to answer those questions of if they say, man, my quote averages aren't as high as the other sales team. This is going to make sure that everyone has the same level playing field and there's no secret or hidden agendas between the sales team. Everyone knows what to do. Everyone can maximize their quote proposals, which will rise all tides, raise the average, which is always great. And for those of you who haven't been in the system a while, if you're not seeing accessories on your items, that's worth a conversation with whoever manages your inventory. It's one of the fastest ways to increase your average order without needing to add a single thing to your team's workload. So as long as you do it once, you're going to be set moving forward. And a lot of clients don't think to ask for chair covers. They may not consider it if they're getting a table, might not need a tablecloth or a chair cover and so on. A company I work with that does a lot of candelabras, in my layman's perspective, I'm like, oh, I don't think of adding like a charger plate below the candelabra, but that would look pretty cool. Also catch the wax, help you protect against any damages or ruined items from the candle wax. So an easy way to suggest these optional or upsell moments. The client has requested these items. Inventory is flagged for any potential conflicts. You've offered that alternate, got that upsell. Your team is reviewed, refined, and is ready to send in a fraction of the time that it would take to build this quote manually. So the quote has been reviewed. We've done everything that we need to do. So let's finalize it and get in front of the customer. So we can adjust quantity, pricing. We can add discounts all in one space without jumping between screens. One other thing that a lot of folks have enjoyed is you can always toggle to view the client's perspective. That way you can see exactly what the client is going to get on their side. And then again, Tom, I apologize for going off script here, but one other small thing your sales team can do, particularly if you work with things like tents or larger things that may have a lot of hidden components. For example, if my sales team, I don't need them to see the cushion clips, click display and click to uncheck show muted items. And that way, I know, Dom, I apologize. Going wild. So we can now see that any of those hidden or muted items no longer show on the proposal. So that way, if you are working with an AV company I worked with has all their cables, cords, extension things, HDMI, all of them as hidden components. Just choose to or hide or uncheck to show muted items. That way your sales team has a more consolidated or more easy view. Great. Excellent. So when we're set, we can then start to send off this message. So when we click to send to client, we can select which template we want to use. I'm just going to use the send quote template. Select that. And again, we've got all of the language, all of the details that we need to send along to the client. Click send message. Perfect. And that's going to fire off to the client, land into their inbox, and that is what we're seeing here. That's what your client is going to see in their inbox. So does it look professional? Do we have the alternate that may have swapped out clearly framed? Or the accessories visible? If you wouldn't hand this to someone in person and feel good about it, then don't send it or refine it a little bit more before you send it. Great. Awesome. So now that we've sent that quote, let's head back to our project list and see what's happened. We go back to our project list, new inquiries, boom. I can see my new inquiry saved view is looking a little bit leaner. I followed up with that customer. Awesome. I can then check my expiring quotes to see when that quote that I sent to that customer is nearing expiration. And then, of course, once they've signed it, I'll be able to keep on top of that mysterious Colin Connor person, whoever they are, and make sure that they're actually paid. So, the last step, and I want to show you this from both sides because the client experience is what will speed up your close rate. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pull over what the client has received on their end. There we go. So this is what the client would view. Great. So this is what the client can see on their side, and this is where we are going to see the rubber meeting the road. Because there's no PDF for them to print off, sign, and then email back for you. They just click a link in their inbox, and they're brought right to the option to review the proposal. They can review the line item, pricing, and then they can scroll down, click to approve, scroll through your terms and conditions. I'm sure review it very carefully. Sign it off here, and sign that contract. Great. They're then given the option to opt into event insurance. I'm just going to go ahead and simulate through here. There we go. And this is where they can then pay their deposit. Credit card, ACH. They can also pay via Affirm for some of their larger contracts. This is where they can then move right through the process and they'll be able to easily approve, sign, and pay all in one place. This project would now be visible in that awaiting, signed awaiting payment view to make sure that I am keeping on top of who I need to follow up with. So that project will now have a due balance. If I give a quick refresh here. Aha, Colin, you are now in my sights. I've got you. So now I know I need to follow up with me to get payment on that project. So this is your team's daily check. Everything here is a booked event with an outstanding deposit or a balance that needs to be paid. This view tells them who to follow up with. Make sure nothing falls through the crack because this is the playbook. Inquiry came in Saturday night. Client got an automatic acknowledgement with your follow-up questions already in it. Monday morning, team is already opened and responding to new inquiries. It was right there, partially answered. They responded fast and held an availability or handled an availability issue without losing the deal. They added accessories without thinking about it. They sent a polished quote, and the client signed without friction. The deposit is automatically tracked and automatically submitted when they submit that payment. And timed messages are running in the background for attendee count, asking for logistics confirmation, review requests, all without needing one single one of those sent manually. Every step is faster, incrementally, as we say here in Goodshuffle, every day 1% better. Those little incremental changes that you can do, those are going to add up over time and also be consistent in your process, which is excellent. Everyone's sending the same message. Everyone's got access to the same alternate accessories. That's the system. Let's bring it back to where we started. Quotes getting lost. Unsigned deposits. Saturday night where inquiries go cold. Every one of those is a speed problem. And we just built a system that solves all three. We're going to be having a webinar next week with one of our local users, Luna Tolany, who's going to talk about some of the systems that they have built for their business. So make sure you tune in for that one as well. We've talked about saved views. Your team knows what they're working on the second they log in, and we're digging and we're asking around faster every single morning. We reviewed message templates, timed message templates. So your business responds back and follows through automatically, faster for your team and better experience for your client, and never, even when nobody's at their desk. We also went through the Wishlist workflow, one consistent process from inquiry to signature, faster close, no gaps, no version that depends on who's working that day. And if you're newer to Goodshuffle Pro, you now have a complete playbook. All of these steps, and your team is running faster from day one. And if you've been in the system a while, go check out your saved views, your wishlist receive template, your timed messages. If there are things that you may have been setting up manually, go take a look at what you've got. Give that a quick audit before busy season is upon you, because it might be there, it might be costing you time. And we've got one more poll for you. Which one of these do you feel will make the biggest impact on your business? So we've got a few responses coming in through the poll here. There we go. All right, getting some responses in here. Thank you, Ellen, for the kind words. Thank you, Samantha. All right, I'm going to give folks another 10 seconds to get their votes in here. Looks like message templates is currently in the lead, but there's still time, folks. All right, we give folks another 5, 4, 3, 2. Get the last votes in. 1. All right, we've got to call it. And that poll. All right, so it looks like the headliner here, message templates and email automation. Yeah, that is a great feature. Yeah, I was so excited to get that in front of folks when we were at ARA earlier this year. And yeah, there's more to come. I saw a few things coming through in terms of what filters, what other options can we have for if then workflows for messages. A lot of the things that we're building here is a foundation that we're then going to continue to build off of, like you've seen with like dispatch and barcoding. We're going to continue to add more features in here. So keep your eyes peeled. And as always, keep speaking up on what you would like to see or what's been helpful for you that's in the platform right now. Love that. Great. All right, so we've got a couple more resources to send to you. So we've got a link to our help center that we're going to be posting in the chat for you shortly. So 2 links that are going to be to the help center for a step-by-step on articles on everything that we covered here today. And the second is a option to book a time with our dedicated support team or your dedicated CSM. There's also a nifty QR code that you can scan there. Thank you, Don. Popping in the help link. So if you want hands-on help with getting any of this set up or review what you've got or a specific use case in your account, use that link. That's what we're here for. Ooh, an anonymous attendee asked a question. Great. So I've set up the projects view for signed, not paid, and I've figured out how to update everything except how to filter only signed contracts. Very great question. So we're going to answer this live, anonymous attendee. So to only filter by signed contracts or projects of a specific status, up here at the very top of your screen is where we have the different flags or the different statuses of your projects. So when you are creating your filters, so for example, if I'm in my default view and I'm going through and I'm building this filter out, so show me projects that have a due balance, and I only want to see signed projects. I don't particularly care about this action needed because that may change. If I click the status flag up here at the top, and then say view, top left, signed projects, due balance, like that. That will then store or that will save the statuses that I'm looking at. Same way with expiring quotes, it's only showing me the blue or quote sent projects. New inquiries is only showing me the yellow or new projects. Cool. We are approaching time here, folks. And if there are other questions, we jump back to this little nifty QR code. That way, if you have additional questions, use that link, book a time with our team. Be delighted to help. And we are at time here, folks, but I know Jake's got some excellent content coming out for you, coming your way, I believe, later today. But thank you for being a part of today's session. It really meant a lot to me to see such an engaged group of folks. I appreciate what people are using, what people want to learn more about. And we'll see you next time. Have a safe rest of your Tuesday, folks. Be well.